स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Om Shanti Shanti. Namaskar, dear friends. Today I am starting a new book. The name of the book is A Light on the Teaching of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi, or The Essence of Spiritual Practice, or Tamil name is Sadhakas. This book was written by Sri Sadhu Om, a direct disciple of Maharshi Ramana. He was a very prominent sage, a self-realized sage. Please try to listen carefully and understand his teachings. You will get maximum benefit for the sadhana on the path of self-realization. So I'll start the first video on this. After Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi left the body in 1950, many of his devotees came to recognize Swami Sadhu, the author of this book, not only as one of the foremost disciples of Sri Bhagwan who lived outside the ashram, but also as someone with the rare gift of explaining his teachings in an easy, clear, and simple manner that could be not only understood but also easily practiced by all sincere seekers of true self knowledge. Thus, many of his devotees began to approach the Swami seeking clarification of all aspects of Sri Bhagwan's teachings. This also included, among other things, the proper use of the method of self inquiry in one's practice. Finding the Swami's explanations clear and easy to understand, some seekers made notes of his oral replies and others collected and preserved his letters answering their questions and doubts. Realizing how useful Swami Sadhu's explanations would be to all sincere seekers of truth, one of the devotees of Sri Bhagwan, the late Dr. R. Shantanam, took great pains over several years to gather together many of the letters written by the Swami and many of the notes taken by those who had visited him, and requested him to edit all the letters and notes and present them in the form of a book. Since the material gathered by Dr. Shantanam consisted of replies given under various different circumstances to devotees who were on various different levels of understanding and who were dealing with various diverse subjects such as devotion, self inquiry, yoga, karma, God, world, soul, birth, death, liberation, and so on. Sadhu Om Swami felt it would not be appropriate to form a book consisting of so many miscellaneous ideas, and so he selected first only those ideas which were centered around the direct path of self inquiry for his first book, leaving the others to be used later. In this regard, Swami's first book, The Path of Sri Ramana, Part 1, first published in 1971 and now with later editions, is an outstanding contribution extended to all devotees and admirers of Sri Bhagwan on the method of self-inquiry, which is his primary teaching. When part 1 of the path of Sri Ramana in both Tamil and English began to reach the hands of devotees of Sri Bhagwan living in various corners of the world, some of them began to ask Sri Sadhu, why does this book deal only with the path of self-inquiry? Why have you not written about the path of self-surrender and various other aspects of Sri Bhagwan's teachings, such as the truth he revealed about the nature of God, world, creation, karma, and so on? The result being that Sri Sadhu once again took up the material gathered by Dr. Shantanam, and from the various replies which he had set aside while editing part 1, he compiled the path of Sri Ramana, part 2, which consists of three chapters, namely 1. God and the world, 2. Love or bhakti, and 3. Karma, followed by a number of explanatory appendices. Part 2 was first published in English in 1976. It is planned by this publisher to publish a newer revised. While replying to questions on spiritual practice put to him by Tamil devotees of Sri Bhagwan, Sri Sadhu Om Swami sometimes replied by writing verses and songs, which Dr. Shantanam gathered together under the title Sadhana Sram, the essence of spiritual practice. Sadhana Sram was first published in Tamil in 1983 as the third part of the path of Sri Ramana. Part 1 and 2 called Sri Ramana Vazi in Tamil. In 1984-5, when the third Tamil edition of the Path of Sri Ramana, Part 1 and 2 were being printed, Sri Sadhu revised both parts and added many fresh explanations which he had given in reply to questions raised by devotees who had read the earlier editions of the two books in Tamil and English. Michael James, a long-time devotee of both Sri Bhagwan and Sri Sadhu, continued the editing and translation of these added explanations, poems, and songs into English after the Swami's death in 1985. The edited contents of these conscious topics make up the first English edition, they now being a complete book. Michael James, who managed Sri Sadhu Om's small ashram after he died, stated that it was the Swami's wish that these revised explanations of Sri Bhagwan's teachings be titled A Light on the Teaching of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi, which is being honored here. So, now some few words about the author, Sadhu. Sri Sadhu Om Swami came to Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi from the district of Tanjavur in the South India state of Tamil Nadu. This region is famous as a center of Tamil learning and culture. From his early childhood, his life was inclined primarily towards spiritual interest, showing great reverence towards saints and sages. Even in later years, he filled his students and listeners with stories about their lives. In his early teens, he was by grace already an inspired Tamil poet, which inspiration came to him at the young age of 14. His meeting and association with Sri Bhagwan Ramana brought his natural poetical aptitude to its full fruition, and up till the time of his death in March 1985, he composed around 6,000 songs and verses singing his devotion to his Guru Ramana. by depicting the unique glory and the beauty of his life or expounding his philosophy in the most undiluted form in a language that was a marvel of simplicity and clarity, and that cannot fail to move one's heart and make us want to know more about Sri Bhagwan Ramana and about his instructions. When answering questions on spiritual matters, Swami's replies showed that it was only through the grace of his Guru Ramana that he was able to do full justice to all the many subtle points brought up and to reveal the answers that addressed all the various standpoints of the different listeners, which was accomplished with a refreshing and joyful originality. His association with Sri Bhagwan lasted only 5 years due to his master's death. As Sri Bhagwan says, for man under the powerful glance of the Guru, as coal takes time to ignite and charcoal is proportionately quicker, gunpowder ignites immediately. The latter example proved to be true in the case of Swami Sadhu Om, whose enlightenment came about from being with his master for only this comparatively short period. See, this is, those who have done sadhanas in their previous births. So, their journey on the spiritual path in the present birth starts from the point where they have left in the previous birth. So this is the added advantage. So Sri Sadhu Om had done great rigorous spiritual sadhanas and thereby he was straightway on the higher path when he came to the proximity of Bhagwan Sri Maharshi Ramana. He immediately got enlightenment because he was already ready. He deserves that. Some people take 30, 40, 50 years for enlightenment. Somebody just few days even. So this depends upon how the person concerned has done his sadhanas in the previous births. So the deep spiritual insight shown in this book and in his other books clearly proves that Swami Sadhu Om does not fall into the category of ordinary seekers, those that Sri Murganar, Sri Bhagwan's chief disciple, referred to in verse 101 or his garland of Guru Singh. See, I chose Anamlai Swami's book. Now I have chosen Sadhu Om's book because their teachings are completely telling the teachings of Bhagwan Sri Ramana because both were enlightened, realized souls. So they have full authenticity. Their each and every word is authenticity and completely based on the teachings of Maharshi Ramana. So the Garland of Gurus saying, verse 101 says, who stay unmoving near the master of consummate knowledge age and die while their ego's darkness tarries like the steady shadow lurking at the lamppost foot. Such is perhaps their rawness still from former births persisting. Although His was a relatively brief association with Sri Bhagwan Ramana through his long-standing association with Sri Murugnar, himself a great Tamil poet who became instantly enlightened by the presence and grace of Sri Bhagwan. Swami Sadhu Om was able to absorb the import of Sri Bhagwan's words of wisdom in the terse classical Tamil language in which he spoke and shared his teachings. Moreover, the Swami's wholehearted devotion to his Guru and his one-pointed adherence to his teachings make him a fit channel for Sri Bhagwan's grace to both flow and fill him with its rich abundance. And it also causes the listener or leader to be filled with the near same richness of Sri Bhagwan's grace. This means Swami Sadhu Om had the three essential qualifications to explain the teaching of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi to those who came to him looking for clarification. Although he professes to not have a high command over English, his native language being Tamil, with the help of the three essential qualifications, that is, having lived in close proximity to Sri Bhagwan himself, having also a clear understanding of even the classical Tamil language used by Sri Bhagwan, and having himself realized and directly experienced the wisdom and truth as shared by Sri Bhagwan. He was well able to detect the faulty understanding of those who, perforce, must depend only on the English versions in their approach to the teachings of Sri Bhagwan Ramana. Some people tend to gauge the real worth of each devotee of Sri Bhagwan by the number of years they lived with him. Since having a long relationship in close proximity with the Guru is usually a major criterion for being qualified to teach or advise others in the proper use of his teaching. Although the time a disciple has spent in the physical presence of his Sadguru is not a criterion by which one can judge his spiritual attainment. When one such person once asked Sri Sadhu Om Swami in a slightly disparaging manner, "You lived with Sri Ramana for only 5 years. Are there not many who lived with him for many more years than you did?" He replied, "Yes, I am indeed ashamed about it, because when even 5 seconds were more than sufficient for the divine power shining in the presence of Sri Bhagwan to quench the spiritual thirst of mature souls. If 5 years were necessary in my case, does it, does it not show my state of immaturity?" What a wonderful reply this is. This reply was typical of the unassuming and self-effacing attitude of Sri Sadhu Om Swami. In spite of his versatile genius as a Tamil poet of surpassing excellence, a talented musician, a melodious and sweet-voiced singer, a lucid writer of prose, and a brilliant philosopher endowed with a deep spiritual insight and a power of expressing the truth in a clear, simple, and original manner. He never sought for himself any recognition or appreciation from the world. In fact, his life was a perfect example of strict adherence to the principle percept taught by Sri Bhagwan, namely that we should deny ourselves at every moment of life by giving no importance to our own undivided, our own individual entity and should thus completely erase our ego. Though some of Sri Sadhu Om Swami's writings in both prose and poetry were published during his lifetime, and though many more have been published in Tamil after he shed his physical body in March 1985, his attitude towards the publication of his writing was quite different from the attitude of many other writers of spiritual or philosophical books, who, of their own accord, seek to share their knowledge with the world by writing and publishing books. We should not open the door unless it is knocked, was the principle underlying all these acts. Unless he was questioned with sincere earnestness, he would not speak or write anything about spiritual matters. Sri Sadhu Om often used to say, we should not run after the world. We should not look outwards at the world. We should look inwards at self. Those sannyasis, spiritual seekers that run after the world achieve neither the world nor self, nor gold, nor gold. If we try to chase after our shadow, we will never catch it. But if we go towards the sun, our shadow will automatically come running behind us. Those sannyasis that are always attending to the world with the aim of teaching the world became spo- spoiled in the end. An invitation once came to Sri Sadhu Om from an earnest seeker in USA. Will you not come to the West and guide us? His attitude is shown clearly in his reply, which ran as follows. It is unnecessary for the reality to run after the world. Moreover, according to the great truth discovered and revealed by Sri Ramana Bhagwan, a good person leading a simple yet highly spiritual life and passing away unknown to the world does far greater good to the world than all the political and social reformers and all the platforms heroes of philosophy. A truly enlightened life will surely help earnest seekers even though they may be living in a remote corner of the world and even without any physical contact, communications, magazines, or writings. This is Sri Ramana Bhagwan's method of teaching the world through speech, transcending mystic silence, the greatest power. Is it not up to us to follow the footsteps of our Guru Sri Ramana? So why should I think of going anywhere? As he who has guided me to his home is the Father, Lord, and inmost self of one and all, does he not know best how to guide home earnest seekers wherever they may be? Why then should an ego rise with the thought, I should guide people? If such an I were to rise, would it not be a self conceited attempt to belittle the grace of Sri Ramana, the one reality? Therefore, the thought of going to the west or the east or here, there, or anywhere else has never occurred to me and will never occur to me. Thus, Sri Sadhu Om stood as an example of how those wish to follow Sri Bhagwan should conduct their lives. Because of his self effacing attitude, he was always indifferent to the publication of his writings either in Tamil or in English. When he answered the questions of those who came to him asking him how to practice the path of self enquiry. He never expected that his replies would one day become a book. At no time did he ever have the least intention that he should write a book. When aspirants asked him questions about spiritual matters, he would sometimes reply, "Since you ask me, I can answer, but only in accordance with the teachings of Sri Bhagwan. Do not expect me to give replies in such a manner as merely to please you. I can tell you only what I have come to know." Sorry, from Sri Bhagwan. If you ask about paths other than Sri Bhagwan's path of self enquiry, I can also explain about them, but only in the light of Sri Bhagwan's teachings. His teachings alone are the authoritative shastras, scriptures for me. If the world chooses not to accept my ideas, it does not matter. Let it throw them away. Sri Sadhu Om was never concerned in the least about what others thought of his views, nor about whether or not his ideas would be valued by the world. Regarding the books that were published in his name, he once said, "I told whatever I know only for those who asked me. I do not object if they wish to share these ideas with others by printing them in the form of books. But I have not come to the world for writing books. I am not a writer, n- nor do I have any desire to become a writer. If the world likes to have these ideas, then it is its own responsibility to publish them. Therefore, this book is published only for those who appreciate Sri Sadhu Om's unswerving adherence to the clear and direct path brought to the world by Sri Bhagwan Ramana. This message is comprised in part of information about the author contained in the fourth edition of his book, The Path of Sri Ramana, Part 1, published by Sri Ramana Kshetra, Tiruvannamalai, India. So the actual book starts now. The book, as I already told, the name is A Light on the Teaching of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Arunachala Ramanaya. The essence of spiritual practice, sadhana sram. Just a minute. The essence of spiritual practice is a collection of Tamil poems and songs composed by Sri Sadhu Om, a direct disciple of Bhagwan Sri Ramana Maharshi. It consists of a total of 523 verses, most of which were written in reply to questions raised by aspirants on various aspects of spiritual practice. The whole work is divided into 86 chapters and contains numerous clues and ideas of encouragement and advice to help aspirants who are following the path of self inquiry and self surrender. The two principal paths taught by Bhagwan Sri Ramana, Sadhanasram, was first published as a book in Tamil, and an earlier English translation of it was specialized in the mountain path. Invocation. O Sri Ramana, bestow your grace upon me so that I may in experience flawless attain the unequaled and unsurpassed essence of the practice, sadhana of self knowledge, the excellent path, who am I, which you have discovered to be the central and foremost among all the various paths. Second, O Sri Ramana, the heart, who through your grace protects me at every moment by guiding me along the correct path, rise from within and teach me the truth, true import of your divine and unequaled teaching, so that I may know them in the undefiled, pristine purity. So, dear friends, whenever we listen to some spiritual talk, our complete attention must be there, because spirituality is a very, very subtle matter, because everything is invisible. So, this is most difficult and the most easy path. These are two contradictory statements. This is the most difficult and this is the most easy. See, most difficult for those who do not believe in divinity, in spirituality. So for them it is difficult. But those who believe, have full interest, full inclination, full determination, this path is the easiest path. See, Maharshi Ramana has given a very easy path, because most of the people, what they think, that they should indulge in so much karam khanda, should visit so many temples, must visit places of pilgrimage, must spend so much money on charity. See, for them, definitely the spiritual path is very difficult, because there is no end. But those who try to walk the path shown by Maharshi Ramana, this is the direct path and most easy. Again, I say, it is most easy only for those who are interested and are completely dedicated to follow the path of self inquiry. Because you have to sit, you have to put efforts. Once you have full inclination to treat this path, it is very, very, very easy. You get peace of mind, you get bliss, and in a very short time, the complete realization occurs. It is so easy. But again, I tell you, if you don't believe and only believe that I must have guru, I must visit so and so place of pilgrimage, then definitely it is difficult. Have faith, and see, another most important thing. Once Sadhu, Swami Sadhu Om could do, Maharshi Ramana could do, Anamlai Swami could do, Kunju Swami could do, Mrugnar could do. So many sages, swamis they have done. And important point, soul of Maharshi Ramana, soul of Anamlai Swami, soul of Sadhu Om, and your soul. There is no difference. As water in Atlantic Ocean or Indian Ocean or Bay of Bengal, it is just made of two atoms of hydrogen, one atom of oxygen. Exactly, the soul of a sinner, soul of a sage is the same. Then here the difference comes. Difference comes the ego and mind and the subtle impressions called vasanas. People having pure vasanas, people having pure mind, so they are they become successful in the path of spirituality soon, easily. But those who are having impure mind and illful vasanas, for them they have to struggle a lot, because first they have to purify their mind, they have to remove the vasanas, and they have to throw out the dust of bad subtle impressions. So this is these things we should be clear. See, realization can occur only when the mind is destroyed, ego is destroyed, subtle impressions are destroyed. And for destruction of these things, the path of self inquiry is the best path. Because everybody cannot tread on this path. Because people they sit for meditation, then the vasanas, subtle impressions, sanskaras, they start coming out, and the person becomes, he is horrified. He feels these thoughts to be very, very painful, and they are harassed, and they stop the sadhana in the middle. See, when you sit for meditation and all ill-full thoughts, very dreadful thoughts, haunting type of thoughts, they start coming out of the chitta, subconscious mind, where they are gathered, where they have been collected in the previous birth. So we should not be afraid of. This is the process. Once more and more thoughts are coming out, think this is the positive sign. People they are afraid, or they start thinking, oh my God, when I sit for meditation, I am completely full of very dreadful thoughts. Are Baba, these thoughts they are going out. Negative thoughts, negative energy, negative vasanas, they are going out. So your chitta, your mind, your heart is cleared. So please remember these basic things. So when you are sitting for meditation and you are having abundant amount of thoughts, do not worry. Do not think you are on the wrong path. This is the procedure, this is the method because sadhana means what? We have to remove the vasanas, subtle impressions which have been collected and embedded in our chitta in the so many lifetimes. So take it easy, simple thing. Do not worry about. Within a see, first thing, have faith. What Maharshi Ramana or Swami Sadhu Om or Anamlai Swami or many other says, whatever they have told, have faith, feel that their words, their statements are authenticated. That is there. See, Guru, another people, they think that they cannot succeed on the path of spirituality until unless they have a guru. Are Baba, as I already told, path of spirituality is a subtle path. It is having invisible forces. So do not think the body of a person as a guru. No. He has tremendous amount of spiritual energy which is beyond the space and time. A person is 2000 miles away. He can help you because it is not the body which helps in spiritual matters. It is the soul which helps in spiritual matters. Because soul is omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. So, distance does not matter. But not everybody can help. Only those who are realized souls, whose minds are purified, ego is destroyed, mind is. See, when the mind becomes pure, it is nothing but yourself only. Because mind and soul is not different. Simple thing, try to understand. Mind takes birth from the soul. And when this mind, instead of going outward, if its direction is changed towards interior of the body, that is the spiritual heart, then mind goes back to the source. What is the source of mind? Soul is the source of mind. So mind and soul are not different. When this mind goes outward, it becomes the part of world. The same mind goes inwardly, it becomes the part of soul. So, how world is connected to Atma? That is through mind, ego, and thoughts. So, just, visualize, contemplate. Just listening will not help. You have to contemplate. After listening, after hearing, just sit and contemplate. Who am I? What is my purpose to come in this world? Have I done something to fulfill the purpose? So, your meditation is nothing but contemplation, which are you have to think that whatever I am doing, is it according to the laws of nature? Will God be happy with what I am doing? So this way will help you. So dear friends, just try to listen these teachings. Sometimes something may not be clear, but I advise you, you start meditation and start contemplating. Within a very short period, all your queries will be answered by your own soul. Remember this, because your soul is full of knowledge of spirituality. Every soul is equal, only with the difference that what is the state of your vasanas, your mind, your ego. Otherwise, soul of each and every person is same. So, now, second point comes the greatness of this birth. This birth means we have got the birth as a human being. In what way? This birth is great. So, among countless births, one like this birth of ours is very rare to achieve. When Lord Ramana has assumed a sacred body on earth, we have attained the blessed boon of becoming slave to his holy feet. How many crores of births they may take, it is indeed very difficult for anyone to have the opportunity of gaining such a great benefit as that which is gained in this birth of ours, in which we have come to the feet of Bhagwan Ramana, who is a rare treasure for the world. So great is the benefit of this birth. Sri Swami Sadhu Om is giving in the honor of his Guru, preceptor, Maharshi Ramana. The wealth of Sri Ramana, the wealth of the Almighty Sri Ramana's enlightenment, Jnana, is a treasure that is ever available to be plundered by all people who want it, and however much it is plundered, it will never decrease even in the least. However, only good people who are true devotees know how to plunder it, and through other people who are too immature go near the treasure, they cannot see anything there. The grace of Sri Ramana. Sri Ramana, the bestower of grace, will never go the least satisfaction to those who weepingly pray to him, make me your possession. I know that our Lord uses countless inexpressible tricks in order to protect and save those who have become his slaves. What our Lord uses to save us are tricks of grace. Even by the skill of our intellects, it is impossible for us to know all those tricks. If he wishes, even an ocean will enter and disappear into a mustard seed. Therefore, as soon as the glance of Sri Ramana's grace falls upon us, the supreme reality will be revealed. Dear friends, whenever you use your laptop, computer, TV, or your iPhone, and you just listen some spiritual discourse, make sure this is nothing but the grace of Almighty. Until unless God showers grace, your mind will never go towards spiritual matters. So remember, whenever you want to read some spiritual book, you want to listen some spiritual talk, make sure there is grace of God. Grace does not mean you will get so much money. No, no, no. Grace means in spiritual matters, grace is nothing but your mind is inclined towards spirituality. So this is the grace. Next, since he is not bound by time or even by the limitation of place, he will not wait for some suitable time or suitable place to bestow his grace upon his devotees. He has far greater compassion than even a compassionate mother who has no plan that she will give her baby milk to drink only when it cries, and hence, even without our crying for it, he will bestow his grace upon us of his own. So, these are all he's giving honor to his Guru, preceptor Bhagwan Sri Ramana. O Bhagwan, innumerable are the wrongs, the mistakes, and misfortune from which I, this poor creature, have escaped by your grace unknown to myself. You know all of them, but I do not know anything except enjoying the bliss of being saved by your grace. O Sri Ramana, those who have taken refuge at your feet are protected perfectly, not only on one or two occasions, but on more than a crore of occasions. From many incidents that happens in their life, this is a truth that is clearly known to the hearts of your devotees. The state of abiding in the heart as the heart it is that is as the adjunctless and thoughtless existence consciousness I am is the ineffable and most excellent state. He who nurtures the fruit of such self-abidance by sowing the seed of clarity of mind and by watering it with divine grace is only our self-realized or celestial perceptor Sadguru Deva Sri Ramana. We and all our possessions, beginning with the body, are in truth only the possessions of Sri Ramana. When the responsibility of saving us and protecting our possessions is borne by Him alone, why should we worry about anything in our life on this earth, thinking it to be either pleasure or pain. Where is any such thing as wrong, evil, harm, or suffering now? All that he does is happiness for me. The Almighty Sri Ramana, who exists within the heart of everyone, who unfadingly helps me at all times, and who cannot be banished from my mind even for a moment, has brought me close to him only to take me as his slave. Therefore, whatever he now does with me is only happiness for me. How can anything that he does hereafter appear to me as something undesirable or painful? So, my dear friends, people have written many books on meditation. So big books, I have also read so many. But see, meditation is a very, very simple process. Meditation should not be taken in a very difficult way, very easy. Sit in any position and do not try to control the mind. My dear friend, this is the most, everybody commits this blunder. People, they have written books how to control the mind. If you want to go to a place in the north direction, and if you start walking towards the south, more you walk, you are going away from your destination. So same mistake is committed. Mind is nothing but it is a quality of our soul which gives rise to the thoughts. Remember, thoughts arise from the Atma. Very simple thing. Thoughts arise from the soul. And when these thoughts, because these thoughts, they have a tendency to move out. They have a tendency to move out. And these thoughts repeatedly occurring, rising from the soul, make our ego, make our mind. So, ego is constituted by the I thought, that is the primary thought, and this I thought is this I am identifying myself with the body. So, this I thought identifying with the body is called ego. So, this is the primary thought. I thought identifying with the body is the primary thought, and rest all other thoughts follow this primary thought.